Welcome to our next ethics video. In this video, we're going to cover two standards at a time, namely Standard 1C, Misrepresentation, and Standard 1D, Misconduct. You may have an impression that even though both standards are broad in their name, they do not carry too much merit-related information. At some point, you may be right. After all, the main idea behind Standard 1C is not to misrepresent anything that has been said or written, and Standard 1D tells you to avoid any kind of misconduct. All this sounds quite obvious. Still, both standards will provide us with some useful information and guidelines as far as professional behaviour is concerned. Off we go then. There is a general rule under the Code and Standards which says that professional duties of every CFA member or candidate lie particularly with clients and the market. By violating Standard 1C, you harm both your clients and the market. Every misrepresentation that you make is like cheating on your clients. If you say something that is not true, it damages your reputation and makes your service less reliable. Your words and actions may also have a bad and manipulative effect on the market. As a result, you destroy the trust of your clients and the integrity of the market as such. This is why Standard 1C makes it clear that CFA members and candidates must not knowingly make any false statements or omit any important information. It refers to any means or channels of communication, be it a written report, an oral presentation, your website, a post on a forum, or a teleconference. CFA curriculum pays a lot of attention to websites run by financial professionals. So, if you have your own site on the internet that is related to any financial issues, you should make sure it contains current and, by all means, true information. You should also make sure that your qualifications, including education and work experience, are properly presented on your website. Also, if you cite words or ideas of other people in your website, you should acknowledge their authorship in an appropriate manner. Actually, the problem of plagiarism is quite extensively covered in Standard 1C. Most probably everybody knows that copying is plagiarism, and that if they use a quotation, say from somebody's research report, they have to mark it, for example, by using inverted commas and give the name of the author to avoid plagiarism. Now, how about tables, graphs and things like that? Do we still have to attribute them to a particular person if we want to use them as part of our report? Can we use a fragment of text in our report if we change some bits and pieces like names or numbers? Will we be able to use this text if we change some longer chunks? The general rule is that you should always give the source, whether it's a quotation or a graph. What is more, if there is more than one author, you should refer to it in a proper way. Also, make sure that you actually give the name rather than state, let's say, that the research was conducted by some prominent analyst in the field. If you use somebody else's text, quote them. It's better to take a piece of text, quote it, and include the reference than to change the text a bit and sign it as yours. You plagiarise not only when you use somebody's text word for word without acknowledging it. You plagiarise also when you use the text, make your amendments to it, and fail to make a proper reference. Now, imagine such a situation. You work as a junior analyst in a brokerage in Sydney. Matt, your colleague, wrote a number of reports while working for the brokerage. He left the job and you were promoted to assume his duties. Do you have to give Matt's name every time you rely on Matt's reports? The answer is no, because the reports that Matt conducted while working for the Sydney brokerage were done for the employer. This is an exception, when you do not need to attribute research results to anybody in particular, but you may use them freely. One more thing worth mentioning is that when you use some reports or papers to produce your own report, it is also a good idea to keep the copies of the materials you use in your work. They form a kind of background for your findings and complement your documentation. We have already said that it is important that you present your credentials and abilities in a truthful way. It is important not only when you have your own website, but also in your work, in your relationships with clients. You should always make sure that your clients are duly informed about your abilities, services you are able to provide, and services that your company offers. The communication with clients should always be clear, and clients should know everything they need to know about your professional profile and your firm. Standard 1C also emphasises the importance of preserving due care while using third-party information or services outside of managers. Every piece of information should be appropriately used and presented. Note that if the materials you use include any misrepresentation, you will bear the responsibility. As far as services of outside managers are concerned, it is a good idea to disclose this fact to the client. Needless to say, you must not attribute the findings of such a manager to yourself. In your relationship with the client, you are responsible for conveying information in the right way. This is why it is so important that you know what you can and what you cannot say to your client. You should be particularly careful when talking about possible returns on investment. You must not guarantee any return on volatile instruments. So, you must not say things like, "If you invest in this stock, you will earn 6% in a month, I guarantee," even if you know it sounds good and you will get a client. Only in some special situations can you offer guarantees. For example, when an investment is insured by government, as is the case with US certificates of deposits. To wrap up, Standard 1C requires you to use reliable facts in your work. You must not misrepresent them or hide any crucial information from your client. On to Standard 1D now. Standard 1D seems to cover the most general ideas relative to the whole code and standards. It touches upon professional reputation and competence and the importance to keep it untarnished. In consequence, it bans any intentional misconduct such as fraud, deceit, lies, stealing, and so on. To make sure that investment professionals pay proper attention to their professional conduct, firms should enforce their ethical codes and compliance procedures. Employees should know what happens if the rules set in the company are violated. Although Standard 1D deals mainly with professional conduct, it is important that those employed in the financial industry be honest individuals who care about the well-being of others. This is a natural way for the financial industry to become a place of competence and integrity, which was seriously questioned by the whole crisis issue and related events. So, for example, people with criminal history should not be accepted to work in finance. It does not mean, however, that if you have a legal action pending against you, you will not be admitted for a job or that you are certain to lose it. Litigations over things such as child maintenance or alimony may probably not have such an unfortunate result. According to Standard 1D, you may be in breach of this standard also if you fail to do something that was your duty. So, just as in the case of omission in Standard 1C, also in Standard 1D, inaction may lead to violation. Let's say you are an analyst and you did not properly analyse the risk associated with investing in a stock of a certain company, yet you made a recommendation to your client. You neglected your duties and thus violated Standard 1D. Enough for now. In the next video, we talk about issues referred to in Standard 2.